Wow.
You put me in the back, right?
I can hear you. Yeah.
I see you putting me in the back, right?
No, you're in the front. I can hear you. You're right there. You just your camera is just off. And this is on. Hello, everyone. We're back. It's Thursday evening, and we're back. And we look forward to you joining us. From last week, we told you we'll be here every Thursday evening around this time. Let me first of all apologize him for not being available on Tuesday. You know, even the Energizer battery sometimes they recharge. But we're on this journey together, just so you know. I'm here tonight with Coach Query or Coach Q. Um, for us to talk about Liberia. As builders of nation, if you can see, this is the University of Liberia. This is, believe it's the back or the front somehow. This is still the University of Liberia. You can see this supposed to be the front. You can see the logo right there where it says University of Liberia. I'm gonna bring it closer to you so you can see here the graduate school right there. You see the car that parked there, and you have I think it's a Toyota Land Cruiser. All right, there we go. I'm gonna stop right here, and I'm gonna bring us on, and I'm gonna remove this so you can see. Peter, you can come up. Um, Hello, everyone. Go ahead and share the video. Okay, let's have a conversation tonight. We will talk for maybe 20-30 minutes. We'll give you an opportunity to add your voice. We want this conversation to be a national conversation, not just Peter, um, everybody else and I talking. We want you to be a part. All right. Don't just come under the post and say, "Oh, you're positive, you're negative, or you're here." We will talk, we'll give you solution, we will highlight the problems, and then we'll give you solution. Okay, or maybe recommendation, because we can solve the problem, but we can give you, we call it leading information that will lead you to what needs to happen as a nation, because we're part of this journey. And for those of us who have traveled, for those of us who are in education or in any field for that matter, that thing we can add our voices to be a help to Liberia. That is the goal. So tonight we're going to talk about the different pillars of national development. Where do we start from? How does it start? Especially in democracy or even in dictatorship or autocracy. How does that happen? Who leads the charge? And we will focus on Liberia, especially the structure of our government. Okay, because we are unitary government, and because we are, everything is centralized, right? So because everything is centralized, whoever we elect or select, whatever word choice of word you want to use, must be intentional. It must be a visionary. Before I come quickly to Peter, let me just stop and go back a little bit and say again to you, welcome to Second Thought. It is great to have you here. I see a few of you here. I think we're still on. Let me put this thing on public. If you, so other people can be able to see it. If you would, I would appreciate it if you would please share. Okay. And those of you who come on and don't show yourself and you just watch from the back, listen, you can watch. You can, if the information is good to you, go ahead and watch it. And it's okay. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you're thinking. Please do, and make yourself visible so we know that you're here. You're here also. Okay, so I will share. Now, again, thank you for being here. Let's have a conversation. The goal here is when you know better, you do better. We travel. It's kind of like you're going fishing or you're going lay trap. When you return, you're supposed to bring something. And that thing may not particularly be money, a building, but it can be an idea, because it is idea that does not die. It is like idea that live on. You call it ideology, philosophy, a belief system, whatever you want to call it. So when you pick up those things, someone will call it culture because it's a belief system. And when you are, and I will use the word program, to think without the box, then you continue to evolve and create something new. So I'm going to start and go to Peter. Peter, that would be my thought to the Liberian people as we set the tune to have this conversation.
Well, again, yeah, thank you for doing what you're doing. Democracy is a marketplace of ideas, and your democracy doesn't grow unless people talk and put ideas on the table. The people who are making decisions for us right now, those people don't have any special powers. They just chose to go into government, and government is just how we chose to organize ourselves to help us pursue happiness and get what we want out of life using our collective resources. I want to start by pointing out the building that you just showed and the condition of the building. And I think that is it is telling, right? It's heartbreaking to look at, but it's telling, right? And this picture says everything we need to know about the country and the people who have been vying for leadership. If there is nothing else that's told our people, we need to change the way we are thinking. This picture should do it. Here's why. Look at this picture. This picture, this corrosion didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen a year ago. It didn't happen 2 years ago. This building is weathered and beaten down because it's been like this for years and years and years upon years. That picture, that building tells us what the priorities of the people who have been leading and making decisions for all of us, our children, our nation, what their thought process was. It's an indictment going back since this building was built. No nation is built, everyone knows that. No nation is built without information. Nothing. No one moves forward without information. So when I say I'm trying to be deliberate and not say education, because some people take that word and say, oh, you think you're better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Education is simply information. So when a nation neglects the temple where education, where information is supposed to be shared, it tells you the ideas and ideologies of those people we've been selecting and electing to lead us. So to me, that building is an indictment on all of us because we allowed that to happen. That's from Joseph Boycott, been in government since 1973. The man still hasn't told us what his economic plan is, his plan for Liberia, any kind of ideology. That goes back to George Weah, to Ellen, to everyone before that, Emmett Sawyer, to Doe, to everyone. When you neglect to educate your children, that is sinful. You are literally selling your country out. That building tells you everything you need to know. Okay. There's nothing, there's no line, there's no denying it. As a leader, if education and educating your general public is not your goal, why are you there? There should be two goals. Prepare the next generation and generate money and keep people safe. Let's make that 3. What are we doing? And here's what I want to really talk about, Yasendi.
Go ahead.
Why are we allowing it? Everyone watching, everyone who sees that building and acts like they don't see it, and that's not an indictment on you. No, it's an indictment not on the leaders. It's an indictment on you too, because you're a part of that. People are like, "Oh, Peter, why are you always mad? You're always angry. Why are you not angry?"
They tell me that too. Tell me that too.
My question is, why are you not angry at that? Would you be angry if someone called your kids stupid? Mm-hmm. We are so quick to victim blame, right? When you see someone on social media, some girl can't read, or she's trying to be a public speaker but lacks the skills. Whose fault is that? When you see someone who's trying to be a teacher, but there's no teacher training. Cindy, you and I are talking about that.
Right.
We all got these degrees, these education degrees. We still got to go back and take some more classes, right?
Yep. every year.
Graduate
Yeah.
classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. I have to go and do this ESL, English as second. How do you teach kids from? We have to do that. You have to do that graduate class. Yes, and you have to go and do differentiate the teaching on different
Mm-hmm.
types of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
They make you do that in this country because they realize how vital your job is. And the job I'm talking about is educating the next generation. If there's
Right.
anything we should be protesting, we should be protesting right now our healthcare facilities that are killing our women and children, and the state of our education system. But we are not. We retreat into our political parties corners and our tribal corners, and meanwhile the world is leaving us behind. My question is, what are you fighting for? Why are you not angry? Okay, so that's where I wanted to start this conversation. And just looking at that building, it's just a shameful thing to see. Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. And hopefully I'm going to put that up again. Okay. Folks, listen, and people get really, really angry. They come in my inbox, but I can tell anybody, and I'm going to say that because I say this, sedition coming in South, then the other group coming in South, then they come with the trouble of the 1%. I would take that title anytime, any day. Let me start and go a little bit backward. Those of you who check on me this week, thank you. I had a rough week. Peter and I were just talking about that, starting waking up, I think Sunday morning to a childhood friend death, seeing it on Facebook. Just it's the first thing that I woke up to. Monday morning, my cousin body being found. The last literally 4 months have been like that for my family, but I still keep that face. I show up every time. Just I show up. And when I have people like Peter calling me, it's like, you can't, this is our duty. You can't give up. You must come in. And, I was talking to a sister who she's here, my childhood friend. All of us went to school together, middle school, high school. Marty is on here. She called me and checked on me to tell me, we need your voice. But you need to take care of yourself. And this is where we are. Yeah, I'm angry. As a Liberian, and Peter can shift his accent. I remember years back when we first met, Peter was like, I'm sorry, a white boy. Yeah, I mean, in his voice. And he would just sit there and look, and that's when the Liberian people used to tease him and Lofa, calling them seaweed and all of that. And I'm trying to think, yeah, Peter, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think about this. The things that we want for ourselves and we for our children, and we are asking our nation to render those service to the rest of the nation. The very thing that they are giving to the children, because they take the kids out of the country the moment they get in the position of power, or they create a different class of a learning theory for their children. And one thing that you said, Peter, we come on Facebook and say, oh, they won't get trouble. They won't get trouble. They won't get trouble. Oh, your English not correct. I remember people would say, oh, your accent, I Liberian people. I'm a country girl. I speak more than one languages. I mean, more than one language. Excuse me, how you call it. So obviously, switching my tongue, especially from one extreme place to another, yes, there will be. And even if I spoke one dialect too long, I get stuck on that side. I don't know which way I'm going. So it takes intelligent people to be able to switch their tongue. So bear with me. But Peter, I wanted to talk while we're here, and that is so true, because this is, if we are not angry for this, then we're selfish, then something is wrong with us. But how do we come from here to a better place than we are? And I want to go back just a little bit to after Mao in China, after their war, after the Civil War, and they went flat on their face. But you know what? It took a visionary. It took a visionary like what? Deng Xiaoping, who came out and said there are 4 things we're going to do. I'm just going to focus on 4 things. Those 4 things brought China today. All of you are running to China. Liberia is running to China. China today is competing with America, some of the war power, superpower in the world. Okay, what did he do? He focused on education as a foundation, and we keep telling you, when you build your people will build a nation. But you have to have a plan. What is the plan? And that's why I keep asking. And people get mad when you ask this question. What is the plan? Last night, I was on a show that I was invited on. I was there briefly, where somebody was saying, oh, they're working in the back. You know, let me come up to FDR after the stock market broke down in 1929, 1930, when America was called a Dust Bowl, okay, when everything failed and it was struggling. When FDR took over, as the plan was in place, he came to power with those plans. And to give hope to his people, he communicated with them every week by the fire chat to let them know we didn't have digital communication as we do today. So it was antenna and radio. People want to be encouraged to buy in, to be a part of the progress. What do you have for us as a nation? What do we have for ourselves? So we are saying to you, we elect you. What do you have for us? So what did he focus on? He focused on education. Okay, he focused on agriculture because he wanted China to feed herself. Okay, he focused on defense because he needed his people safe externally and internally. Okay, technology, there was the emerging technology and wanted to be a part of. Those were the pillar in which China was built upon that got her ahead. Peter, I will stop here. So I'm just giving you just a synopsis or a snapshot of what things are. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, you ask, y'all sending your cameras off. You say you ask, where do we start? I think we need to have an honest conversation first. Before it's where we start. We start with honesty, right? A country like, so I need everyone to understand this, right? As an educator, you have to understand there is this thing called pedagogy. It's the sequence in which you lay out information, right? How you go about administering the information to the people who are getting it. What we need to do here, Sandy, you talked about the building and where people start. There's a reason why we tell you the stories of other people, other countries. Some people are like, oh, why are you worrying about China? Why are you talking about South Korea? Why are you talking about Singapore? Why are you talking about Philippines? We do that to say you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Tell me your ideas to reinvent wheel. A wheel is the wheel. Once the wheel is invented by cavemen, to this day, when we have AI, everyone still uses the wheel. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The reason why the stories of other people matters is because the problems that we're going through, other people have solved them. They solved them a long time ago. We literally need to just go and steal their ideas. This is how China grew. This is how America grew. As a matter of fact, America didn't have manufacturing.
Nope.
They stole that from England, right? Yep. England knew that was so important that England barred anyone who knew how to work and create that machine. England didn't want to let them out the country. They kept it in the country. All I'm saying is information matters. So when you have information, you pass it on to the generation, the next generation, the next generation. Most countries were built by sending their people out to get information and come back. All the countries we're talking about, when we talk about Singapore, when we talk about South Korea, even Russia, they had to send their people to the West. When you talk about West, you're talking about Western Europe. Okay? Yeah. They're talking about Western Europe, and the Americas to learn and come back. So we're relaying stories. We're telling those people stories because it matters. We have to see how other people solve these problems. Here's what I would say we start with our problems. Our problem, we got to start with honesty. And here's what I need us to be honest about. Tribalism is a problem in Liberia.
Yep.
Let me explain to you what I mean. Tribalism and progress cannot coexist. When I say tribalism, it's not saying the love of one tribe, but the love your tribe and put tribe over country is a detriment to a country. Liberia is supposed to be a democracy. A democracy is a country in which the people get to pick who leads. Okay, we are representing democracy. That means we get to pick people we think are smarter, will make good decisions for us and our children and the greater good. That's what Liberia is supposed to be. America is a democracy. This is where we borrow everything from. Guys, here's what you guys need to know about that. The founding father of this country, George Washington, you know what his greatest fear was when they were creating what became the United States? Because it was not United States at first. Okay, no. It was just a confederacy. That means every country was operating like an African country. You see how Sierra Leone is a country, Ghana is a country. Mm-hmm. Well, the United States realized that. That's why they were broke, they were poor. They had to pool their resources together. And when they did that, this is how they became. They became what was called a federalist country. That's besides the point. George Washington, the first president of this country, his greatest fear, Yasendi, was factions. Why did he think about faction? Faction just means different cliques. Political parties was his greatest fear. He said, political party is going to destroy this country, and this country is going to go nowhere if we create political parties. Why did he believe that? Guys, again, talking about information that we got from these people country. Factions and tribes. If you think about every country that had tribes, China, this is the biggest one with tribes, okay? Singapore, okay? All of South America with all these Native Americans, North America where we live now, tribes. Why was tribes bad for those people? Tribes was horrible because people can use that to divide and conquer. They can, tribes, what tribes does is it makes you worry about just you and your clan and not the greater good. And you put greater importance on that. George Washington watched how the Americans exterminated, how the new Americans, the British, the white people who came here, exterminated the Native American. He watched how the Spaniards exterminated people in Central America and South America. How did they do that? They used one tribe against the other.
Yep.
Why? Because those people were natural enemies because they saw themselves as different. You need to be cohesive. We need to be nationalistic. We need to put nation first. The problem we're having in Liberia, and I mentioned that to say that that's not unique to Liberia. Tribalism is not unique to Liberia. Every country that's had tribes, China, they had to get a dictator who killed a bunch of people who were adhering to tribalism to force them to come together. Italy did the same thing. They did it in such a brutal way. It was called fascism. You have to be united, guys. And we have to unite around an ideology. Tribalism is the biggest thing we need to start at. The biggest thing. And we need to shame and embarrass people who hold on to tribalism over nationalism. It has to be nation first. When you say, oh, Mana people do this, Gil people did this, Crown people do this, Bassa people do this, that is not benign. That means that is not common. It's not a big deal. It's a huge deal that you're doing that because historically that has splintered us. Until we unite under a common objective, and our objectives should be raising the standard of living in Liberia. Until we're able to do that, we're going to struggle. until we are willing to face the fact that tribalism is literally handicapping us from going anywhere. We're going nowhere, Yasendi. I'm not the one saying it. George Washington said it in the greatest country in the world, the country that we borrowed our democracy from. His tribalism he was talking about was simply political parties and the adherence to one's political parties. Okay? The splintering of any nation is never good. Look at the names: USSR. All the powerful nations are United Nations. Okay? United Kingdom, United States, United Emirates, okay? The European Union. You have to understand why people know how important working together is. Unity is. The first thing, the county meets, all that stuff, roof of Boston, there's nothing wrong with that. But for our country, it's not benign. We need to be intentional about not being tribalistic. We need to start there. Until we're able to do that, we're going no place fast. This is not unique to Liberia. Nothing's going to change until we understand nationalism must come first.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Folks, I hope you're listening. Nationalism, putting your country first above everything else, being a patriot. That's what we're talking about tonight. That will be the start of where we go from here. Thank you, Hadia. Thank you so much. Oh, Paul, I see you are here. Maybe you need to join us. Okay. So, Peter just painted a picture for you as to where we start from. We start with a conversation, rightfully so. You know, there's a saying that goes, war starts in the conference room and it ends in the conference room, whether we like it or not. Before people go to war, they have a conversation about it. Even if there's a spark, somebody have to talk to somebody, and then somebody got to push it. And peace, before you get to peace, you still have to come to the table. So we're going to start with the conversation. We can win with you. Let me, I'm going to veer off a little bit. You know what's funny is the other day when they say, although we didn't know that they were looking to appoint somebody at the University of Liberia. When Liberian names were being called, Liberian was screaming. They didn't vote for us. They're not part of our political party. Although those very Liberians were more qualified. I can say that because I know George Kerr. I know Dr. Pachibo. I know Francine Richardson. I can go on. I know Dory Kerr. I know all of these people. One of them taught me in college in the early 90s. These are people who they're professional Liberian, and I'm not trying to be prejudiced. But my thing is, though, you were yelling. Most of you went to school when they brought in missionaries to teach you. Those of us who went to school in Liberia in the 80s, we had Ghanaians and what do you call it, and Ivorian teachers and Sierra Leonean that could barely understand. Okay, if you understand for the old people, I will come back. Yeah, we were stepping down, but sometimes you get when you are talking and we call it in flight. That's the word, folks. You have to remember when we come here, we got to adjust, and then we have to get in the classroom and adjust. All right, because if we just talk like we are talking in Liberia, we carry it to the classroom, and our children or our students will be asking, huh? And then you have to check yourself. So let's find a balance. I hear Liberians on podcasts who sound better than me, like they grew up here in America. So guys, let's redirect. Pick what you can hear and take with it, or replay it.
Do you mind me addressing that?
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna be my most authentic self.
Right.
Because of the wars you tribalists started, I had to leave my country and then have to now sound like somebody else. And it doesn't, like, for you to go and like worry about how I'm talking, guess what? It's your job to go and break it down for the old people in the village.
Yes, please.
You understand it, right? You go break it down. I'm gonna let you be your best self, your most authentic.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you be your most authentic self, your real self. You guys like too much fake nonsense. I'm gonna talk the way I talk, and then I'll expect you to go and call the people in the village. I don't know who in the village right now is up watching Yasendi live at 12 midnight in Liberia, and you break it down for them tomorrow morning, my man.
Oh, they are. I can see them. They are. Okay, good. So let's come back. So we'll start with conversation. That's what we're saying. So that's what we're conversating. And when you ask us, I know Peter gets a lot of that, and I get a lot every time I post at people under there and insulting. Okay. Yes, I am angry. I am angry because I walk in a door every morning that is sparkly clean. I mean, pristine. Where my children walk in, they come in and they put the books down and they go get breakfast from my government, from my taxes, from our taxes. Okay? They come in where there's a whiteboard. They come in where they hand out from the beginning of the year, if they want to keep it, a laptop. Last week, during the corona, we gave these children Chromebook. Last year, we updated, we upgraded, and gave them a different Chromebooks. Okay? You have an organization like SOUP. Like SOUP. Okay? A legacy organization that should have endowment funds, that's supposed to have an office that they can walk into, that people can come and donate to. You know, Peter, I heard, and we are very misleading. Let me come to us Liberian people. The mere fact that all of us have a cell phone in our hands or we're on social media, I in no disrespect, I see people saying, well, you don't collect money and help fix the university if you went there or if your family people went there. Okay? When people give their money to university, they give it for a purpose, either to support a certain wing. For instance, and I'm going to go there. All the universities in Liberia, Alexander Cummings gave them money for STEM. It's for that program to bring resources. I know most of you don't talk about that because they think we're tribalistic. They're not somebody we like. Although this man is investing in education. Okay, he gave the most money to Nima Community College. I think even more than the government, to build a whole wing that's been waiting for them forever. Maryland, Grand Bassa, the University of Liberia, the first time you saw a computer lab, he did that. That's how individuals do. But the individuals do not go, okay, and complement. That's how you complement a university if you're part of and you want to invest. It is not your duty or individual duty to go build the university. That's what the government is for. You cannot have a democracy. In fact, even if there's a dictatorship, you must have people who are well learned to take the nation to its next stage. You have to, and that's why if you remember, and Peter don't believe in this, but I'm not going to go there. Remember they say Jesus left from Israel and went to Egypt to learn. Because that's what knowledge to be acquired. Even the Saudi Arabia that we got today, they hire people to come in. They had in fact, first they had 3 years plan. They wanted nurses who have master's degree. They wanted people who were professors, and they had a target for 3 years. If you did well, they will renew your contract. The goal was to get certain amount of the population at a graduate level and specialize that would take up the rest. Engineers, as they were building a nation, they were building a human capital. And those who wanted, they needed them to go to places like England, America, if it were neurosurgery or surgeon, okay? Whatever they wanted to be, they brought them here and paid for them to go back and get in the classroom. Their PhD, they already built a research lab. So 5 years' time, where became the Saudi Arabia of today, the foundation will lay. 5 year time, John McAfee, right there in Tanzania, did that and it's growing. In 5 years' time, okay, Rwanda, you go there and see. Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, okay, John Park of South Korea. You think about that. Deng Xiaoping of China. So we are also kept, and what this really good with us with Liberia is, we don't need to go bring people. We don't need to go outside. You have Liberians who are tenure professors who are retiring. Create the opportunity and say, listen, we're gonna build a nice village, or we're gonna do this, do that. Come, give us 4 years, give us 3 years, okay? Give us 3 years, get our graduate student out. That's how you do. For Liberian engineers, I told you guys 2008, 2007, which we thought was the reconstruction, we were in the reconstruction era for the rebuilding after the war. We pack up from here. 5 good Liberian engineers. We went to Liberia. What did they do? They run around. These are people who work with American Army Corps of Engineers to build bridges, to build powerful roads and all of that. But you wouldn't take that. But we have to be intentional. And for us to be intentional, we have to have this conversation. Peter?
So, yeah, I want to start where you left off, Yesendi. You describe how some other countries have brain gain. I think it's called HB1 visa in America. America strategically are getting people, the smartest of smart people, to come here. This is how America became great, by the way. Immigration. The best of the best. America offered freedom, offer land. America offer political freedom, individual freedom, and offer land. That's it. Those were the incentives to drive people here. America then created the environment where they were incentivizing loans, giving people tax breaks if they did certain things that helped the nation. When I say I'm going to leave off where you pick up where you left off, we must be intentional about who we elect and select to lead. Guys, this is not a wishful thinking thing we're doing. And again, I'm going to put that on the laps of the diasporan Liberians. I remember walking around in Buchanan, okay, as a kid, okay, wishing, hoping to leave Liberia one day, just like most of us, right? So I feel like when we leave Liberia and had a chance to be exposed or learn things in other places, Dwalu is one of the people who was in that camp with me. He knows what I'm talking about, right? The problem with that is the information that we have, it is our responsibility to come back and share. Every nation that has been built by people who were able to leave and come back. All of it. Yep. All the revolutions you can think about, the South American Revolution. This is just information that a person like myself went and sought out and learned. Yep. They all came back from the Mexican Revolution, the Nicaraguan Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, the Chinese Revolution, the Haitian Revolution. These were all people who left and saw something different, came back. Something about the immigrant spirit that we all have. I am going to put that on the laps of the aspirants Liberian. You guys can go and talk to the people in the village. It's your job. You need to do that. You are literally abdicating your responsibility at those Liberians who know better, and the country is not moving forward. Your job. Every country who has done it was done by people like you. We need to think about how and who we select and elect to lead our country. We must be intentional. Okay? We need different types of leadership in Liberia. We don't have those leadership. When you talk about we can get PhD, and here's a good thing about it, right? Yeah, Sandy, what you just said. Here's a great thing about what you just said.
Tell me. Yes, let's amplify.
The leaders, the people who can make those changes happen, they have already been trained. Someone else already invested the money in them.
Yep.
Those tenured professors you talk about, those professional engineers, another country, we already have those people. We now just have to have a leader who's intentional to invite those people or to attract those people back home without them worrying about where's my kids going to go if the guy's sick, what's going to happen with corruption, am I going to have electricity, all this stuff. Okay? The middle class of Liberians are already built. They're the people on this live. They're the people listening to all these talk shows. It is your responsibility, people. Don't for 1 second think I'm the one person who's going to hold your feet to the fire. You are the only ones, because you know better, who can hold that government accountable, because every country that left or escaped abject poverty did so with people who left that country and got educated. That means they got information from someplace else and came back to their country. Even the American Revolution that created this place called the United States, those people came from England. They came from France. Okay? Those people, the ideas was born someplace else. They took those ideas and they brought it to America. So what I'm saying is that aspiring Liberians, instead of holding on to tribes and political parties, we need to come together and then think of an ideology that we want to build a nation with. Okay, what standard of living do we want? That's what we should be debating right now. What do we think is possible? After we do that, we make it happen. Stop depending on elected or politicians who've been there forever. That building is indicative of our country. That building you just showed, that's Liberia. Okay, that's emblematic of what Liberia is to the world. How decrepit, how dirty, how burnt that, how beat down that building is. That's how it's supposed to be the vesture of our higher learning. Look at it. Are you proud of that? Are you okay with looking at that? What if that was your house? That was where your mom lived or where your children have to live. Would you be okay with that? Because this is how the world sees us as a country. We still got dirt roads we shouldn't have. We're not being developed. Gunners have come and surpassed us when we were way ahead of them. Okay? And it all goes back on the diasporan Liberians, because we can put pressure on these people because we know better. I'm not going to sit here and victim blame. Look at the windows we have. Look at the paint on the building. Okay? This is embarrassing. If you're not embarrassed and you're not angry about this, then you shouldn't be talking. You're not a Liberian. That's treasonous. You betraying everything that we are if you're okay with looking at that. And we need to have a real conversation about it. And when we see people retreat into the political party corners, and these are people who are not well informed, we must unite, we must come together, and we must decide the type of Liberia we want to live in. If you think this is the way it should be, then you're not truly a Liberian. And you're treasonous. You're a sellout. You're not a good person. We can't trust you. You're not one of us.
Ooh, Peter, that was loaded. I want to remember this, and then we're going to leave this here while we think about it and pick it up. We must unite. We must unite. We must not think about each other as a political party or belonging to another group. We must unite to be able to build Liberia. And the ball is in our court as diaspora Liberian, because we have traveled, because we know better. I think everything you said around unity of purpose, not just unity of purpose. So Wow, Peter. So then let me ask you, and then we will go to where do you have thinking there's so much going on in our country at this point. When we started this conversation, I think that's before we went live. I was talking to you about how disciplined we have to be. We must be. Another thing you said, we must be intentional. I was telling you how I wake up. I think a lot of people sometimes Emma will come in my inbox and say go to sleep. I wake up every morning at 5 o'clock, spend at least 2 hours reading. I have to make sure everything that I have, I got it correct. At the same time, schooling, I have to make sure those things are done. Before I leave work, I have to make sure I set my agenda for the next day. And I was telling you, that's why a lot of people who grew up in Liberia, who work in Liberia, especially in the government, when their terms are over and they come back to the States, it's very difficult for them to stay here or to work here. They will tell you they can't do it, they have to go home. So, my question is, it's good to be intentional. It's good to hope for what is better for Liberia. But what if the culture that we're accustomed to dictates otherwise? How how then do we empower? Because we are not empowering, we're enabling people. Not only are we enabling them, I'm not talking about people, and I'm not going to blame the victim. I will not watch my family people die when I can feed them, when they can't find jobs. Okay, we live in 2024. Um, I think it's criminal for me to go break my back with grass cutter, chapia, or machete, however you call it, for 9 months picking in grass in soil that depleted, literally, um, just to eat for 4 months. And then the resources in the nation is cycling up here, and we that are here are supporting it. Who should we be talking to? To whom should we be talking to? Besides talking to us in the diaspora, who else do we be holding accountable? I think our people only know where they know because somebody asked them what we do now. And lately, how do we encourage people to buy in? And how do we get our people to wake up? As you rightfully and people, and that's why I can't give up on Liberia. Understanding history, everything that you chronicle is correct. All of the nation has shifted, all that change, the change came from somewhere. Even to build Europe, Europe was built out of Africa. The people have to leave to come and get our stuff and then bring it back to us for sale. It's like telling me plain rubber, plain coffee. You don't eat coffee in Liberia. You barely drink coffee. You don't even know what it tastes like, except for eating the food on the outside. We just not tell you are. You don't eat rubber. You have to plant it. You got to harvest it. You got to wait for somebody to tell you how much it costs. Then you have to resell it while you wait. You are at the mercy of other people. But if you were planting rice, planting, that is the nation. Peter, let me bring you to a point. Remember the young man in Burkina Faso, the what they call the new the reincarnation of Sankara. He showed up to the Ghanaian inauguration. He got more yelling and praise than the president that was being inaugurated. The young people were yelling with his name. You could not get them to get quiet. And if you look on social media right now, literally everybody's saluting him. This boy, I think they said 20 or I don't know how many millions of dollars in agriculture. He's still driving the old truck that he had. He's going from village to find out how his people are living, to change them and tell them we got to roll up our sleeves. This is the plan. You must roll up your sleeve. First and foremost, we must feed ourselves, and we must be able to defend ourselves. Okay, and we must be able to stay informed and ahead of the curve. We must develop our minds exactly as China did. This is like a roadmap. So when we are talking, what do you think about that? How do we get our people to get involved? Because it takes the leader. It's taking a 34-year, in fact, 33-year-old, just in 35-year-old young man to make those people believe that they're possible.
The world first modern democracy, the United States, broke away from the greatest nation at the time, greatest navy in the world, from England. You know who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Thomas Jefferson. He was 30 years old.
Yep.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. They turned to that one young man, one idea. This is an idea that sparked democracy across the globe. James Madison, when America was grappling with how do we stop all these uprising? How do we get the states to want to agree to having a federal big brother government? James Madison wrote a series of articles called the Federalist Paper. Mm-hmm. What was his idea? He was convincing Americans that it's okay. These are the rules that we're going to put in. If we do it like this, federalism, having a big government that is powerful enough to put down all these uprisings that is making you unhappy, all these fights that is killing each other. If we allow this big government to happen, this is how we protect the citizens, and this is how this government is going to operate. One person wrote that, James Madison, a young man. You do it with what we're saying, those who know better and young people. That's what we have to do. That's what we must do. I'm talking about young people who still believe in the American dream, in a dream of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's what kids do. We have to focus on those people. These people who have retreated to political parties for some identity, some life identity, those people are long gone. It is about the future and those who know better. We must focus on young people. We must stop shaming people who are electing or voting or selecting people based on sentiments. This is not a game. A lot of people think they're rooting for their favorite football team. This is not a game. This is about people going to hospitals and there is no medication and they die.
Mm-hmm. A young man was just killed. Yep.
Yeah, and people are dying. This is about people getting away with mob violence. We are literally living like savages. Yep. Are you okay with that? It is up to us. We have to turn to people who will listen, and those who won't, we need to. This is going to be a fight. I'm saying it's going to be a revolution. When I say revolution, I'm not necessarily talking about a bloody revolution. I'm talking about the revolution is just revolving, changing the way we do things. Yes. This is going to change. Mm-hmm. A drastic change.
A drastic change.
We need to change the way we're selecting and electing leaders. Yes, Andy. Tell me the ideology that we voted for Joseph Boycott based on. I got experience. Did he explain how that experience is going to translate into creating jobs?
To progress? No.
No, he didn't.
No. It was mostly a tribe and political party. Like you said, tribe. What he said political party is a tribe, so to speak.
It is. It's tribalistic. It's dogma, right? Yes. So it's not based on ideology. Ask them, and they're going to change the subject. We got to shame those people because it is about your children's life. Now, think about it, right? If your babies were being put on a plane and you knew that person who was about to start that plane up couldn't pilot, will you sit there and just be like, oh, well, other people want him to do it, so I'll let him do it? Mm-hmm. Would you say that? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't say that. You would do everything in your power to make sure that man don't fly that plane or your children don't get on that plane. If a ship was sinking, you'll make sure you do everything you can to get your children off that ship. Well, this is what we have in the country. Until we start shaming people and literally calling them out, and this is not, these people, you talking about people insulting, yes, Andy, there are people who walked from from Monrovia all the way to Buchanan, all the way to Guinea.
Peter, I walk all the way from the Mama Point to almost into Sierra Leone.
Think about that.
My family did.
Yes,
and not only that, under duress, with so many
under duress, yes,
and bodies, yes.
Think about that, right? Think about that trauma. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
I'm saying we did that because it was about life or death. Correct?
Right.
Okay. Life or death. Our country is now at the life or death phase. What is the future generation going to say about what you did? Regardless if the change happens or not, I want my sons and my children to one day know that their dad did not care that people were cussing at him. He spoke his truth, and he spoke truth to power. I want my kids to know that we didn't just lay down and take it.
Yep. That's
a lot of us over here are laying down and allowing people to just do whatever they want. That's not how life is supposed to be. You are a coward if you're doing that. We need to speak up. Guys, our kids, our people need to understand what imperialism is. Don't expect to be rescued by some superpower that have nothing to gain by rescuing you. Especially when they see us all the same. Do not expect that. Because when you do expect that, you're going no place fast. Liberians in the diaspora, until we start shaming each other and calling each other out and making it uncomfortable, this, my friend, is a protest. This is why protests are effective, because people are made to feel uncomfortable. You cannot select a leader who cannot tell you how he's going to create a climate to economically empower Liberians. You must understand that it's important to understand empowering people economically is important. You must know that. You must be able to articulate this person's economic plan, how he's going to go about empowering Liberians. If you can't do that, we got to shame those people. We must. All the faking and fakery, we'll come back. They're doing it behind closed doors and they're working on it. There are people dying. There are children dying, and you're playing games with it. And we all know that you're playing games. And those of us who sit there and you're not angry about it, you're a coward. You're literally allowing it to happen, and you could have said something. It's as if you're watching our people being sold into slavery. What would you have done if they're dragging your family member onto a ship to go work on a farm or get lynched when he gets there and dominated by another man? Would you sit there and let it happen? Because that's what we're doing right now. And I put everything on the laps of the diasporan Liberians. Okay? You know better. You're the ones on these lives. Our people don't have money for data.
Yep. And you know they never put the data back. Sorry, Peter. Yeah, but go ahead.
Letting it happen, though. That's all democracy is. America, listen, if you look at the pattern of this great nation, you look at Dominican Republic, look at Haiti, you look at Cuba, look at all those countries, Colombia, Panama. They're waiting for the people to rise up. They don't have no dog in this fight. They want you to rise up. When you rise up, they would support you. Until we rise up, nothing's going to change. And I think it's despicable for us who know better to see that people are getting paid $15,000, $20,000 a month and offering nothing back to the country.
Nope.
Nothing to our children's future. And we have that dilapidated building, supposed to be our institution of higher learning. No laboratories, no professor, no published professors, no peer-reviewed professors. And we're calling it a university.
A university.
And I
No,
don't
no,
blame the
no
victims.
research
It's still going.
Munich.
And then we're
You got everybody having fake people.
and
Not
then
fake, some
and
of
then
them.
and then we're going at the students who are agitating for a
Yes,
better life,
for
saying,
change.
"Oh, why soup? Get rid of soup. They're causing problems." You
Thank
really
you,
think
Peter.
soup is the problem?
Thank
Soup
you,
is who you're
Peter.
talking.
Thank
Focusing
you,
on. Yeah,
Peter.
let me close on this. Let me
Yes.
close on this. It's as if you're in a building and it's burning down. You're in the house with your dog and your babies, 2 babies, 1-year-old and a 6 months old, and it's burning down. And you're worrying about, John, go look at it. You left the refrigerator door open. You're worrying about the wrong things. We need to get out this building. Unless you have some self-respect, self-pride, and some nationalistic feeling, you shouldn't be happy with what's going on. You cannot sit back and let it happen. If you do, you can, but you're a coward for doing it.
Thank you, Peter. We're gonna stop here. I'm gonna just get Randy on really quickly. He here just it's good to have you. We are trying this out. I will update you tomorrow. Like I told Peter, it's been a rough week, but we're here. And I'm grateful that both of you are here. Hopefully, Isaac will join us next week. He did get the information. So, Randy, welcome again. We are talking about pillars of nation of national development per se. So we're talking about other having other comparable. And Peter, I think you heard Peter. Peter talked about unifying, not thinking about political party, because political party is another just a type of tribe. And he talked about uniting, that the ball is in our court, in respect to we who have traveled, we have a better inkling, because we know that the rest of the world, for change to come, most of the people who have brought that change into the nation came from somewhere or was sent out to learn from somewhere, even up to the Castro. And even the young men today that we're all praising in what do you call it, Burkina Faso. He came from away from training. I learned. I mean, his story is out there. So, Brandy, where you talk, we're gonna give you like 5 minutes. Just go on. Then we're gonna come back to you. What's on your plate for today? What you're thinking? I have another thing that I wanted to bring to the table, but let's go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, so thank you so much. The schedule is very tight for me because I mean my family come first, like every one of you guys, so I had to prioritize them. So we will see what we can do to talk offline as far as the time of this program. I would
Okay.
love to be here at the beginning, but due to some circumstances, I kind of coming in late, and I do apologize to
That's
all
fine.
your audience and other stuff like that. Says yeah, I've been in the Liberian politics now since 2010, and I believe this is 14 or 15 years now. I have seen it all. All right, we all lived through the pre-war era. We saw how things were going. We lived through the war era, and we are now in post-war Liberia contemporary politics. I think if we take a structured approach, looking at the human element, the factors that affect the human element, those who are driving the system and those who are slave to the system, if we don't understand how the function works, we can sit here and talk and talk and talk and talk. The difference between Burkina Faso you talk about in Liberia, Burkina Faso went through a colonization period.
They
Most
did.
of the, most of the school system utilized the colonial system, so they had some structure in there. For us, Liberia, we never went through any colonization process. People came from here, went back there, established the country, and things started to roll uphill. And then in the middle of the process, things broke down. And we thought that we were going to do things after the war. But in comparison, we in Rwanda, that also went through a colonial period, we both went to war almost at the same given time. And then we spent some useless time, wasting our time along with them. And then we came back, they came back, and look where they are today. What does that tell you about us? Not just as a nation that will never colonize, but we lack structure. You know, we often boast about being close to America, but when people go back home, they have that divided intention, and those things will not work. So I think now it is the time to think more strategically by emphasizing on the weaknesses and what we have in place. For me, I think if we can find a common solution that we will use to our strategies with emphasis on the people. The people are the one who are the victim, but they don't think they are the victim. And let me tell you why.
Mhm.
Oftentimes you will hear the lawmakers say, we are doing it for the people. And I think Coach mentioned about your family getting on the plane or not. That's a
Mhm.
very case and presentation he made a few minutes ago. When the lawmakers say we are for the people, what often run through our minds? Well, they are going to be making policy that address their well-being, that meet them halfway with the people, whether it is security, health, environment, economics. But nowadays, the words only become some type of phrase that they use. So for me, I believe in social experiment. Just the other day, there was a lady who came out with a guy that has some medical condition, and she decided to post it on Facebook.
Are you serious?
Yes. So knowing me, who is more induced and utilize social engineering, I tried to take on some social experiments. So I went in there and politely said this. I said, because you are appealing to the public out here, you, coach, and everyone who had the opportunity to watch that video. And she was,
Really? I haven't seen it.
I will share that with you. So she was asking for some assistance. So I went underneath there in a polite and quiet tone. I said, I often hear the lawmakers bragging about these people. Now, here is the young man here needing help. Where is the lawmaker? You would be amazed, say, how people separate their personal feelings or their total well-being. There were people telling me, say, don't bring your politics here. Don't bring your politics here. You are frustrated. So it tells me that the people that are on the ground, they lack civic education. They don't know what the people are elected for. And these people are feeling into the weakness of these people by thinking that by telling us on social media that they are for the people, I'm not going to be focusing on the lawmakers because the primary contributing factor and the root cause is the lack of civic education among these people. And I think if we want to really re-engineer the mind of these people, is to make them to understand, because if we find ourselves in a district where our lawmakers are supposed to be ensuring that we get some pre-medical facility like a triage clinic that will start to put things in context where we can be pre-checked. If that guy came out and said, I'm not feeling well, and the lawmaker said, but I got a clinic or whatever the guy's supposed to have gone to, that would meet the health need of those people. But they're not understanding those things. So I got a lot of reaction, and out of, I think, more than, 15, 20 reaction, one came out as the probability and said, look, I don't want you guys to hate Randy. Randy is only asking this question based on what the lawmakers are saying, that you guys voted for these people, but where are they when they often say we are for the people? So you see, it's one thing to use the phrase, but it's another thing to ask the people whether they understand these things or not. So I see the bulk of the problem lies with the people on the ground. And the only way is to have that strategy to address their need. So no matter what we discuss, whether it is the budget, it is the condition, if the people mind don't understand what they need to know, because your right to know is a right to also understand why you're into politics. Our politics is so premature in terms of the human element gaining some level of understanding from that. So I will just stop right there, Cecilia, and turn it back to you.
Okay. So let's go to, because we're almost about to exit. And it's okay, it's good to have you. We understand we have family and we are trying to work for Liberia, but we have to balance that because um, for a man to lead, his house must be in order. So we get that. So I'm gonna start with you. What's on your mind today that you would like to talk about? So let's go around for 5 minutes each, and I'm gonna go to Peter with the scene. Then send your message to the people. What do you want to Liberian people to walk away with tonight?
Well, that's a very good question, and the answer are so many. but for the sake of time, I will just limit myself. What is on my mind is we have entered 2025. 2024 was a lost year because the current government did not even introduce its framework as to how she's going to move into 2025. There is no key performance indicators as it relates to our different sectors. So you don't have any strategy, any goals as it relates to the ministry and agency in the country. So everybody is just performing in silo out of the picture or the framework of the arrest agenda. Again, the people on the ground, some in the diaspora, because of the limited understanding, and I don't blame them for that, they don't know how to measure these things. And, like security, economy, the politics, the infrastructure, the environment. These are key performance areas that must be addressed within the framework document that need to be put forward and begin to address the issue in the country. So what on my mind is, how are we going to go through this year as far as establishing standard of how things should be done, as far as respecting the rule of law and ensuring that we follow our constitutional procedures? I don't see that. When I look at what has happened from the building of the Capitol, the burning of the Capitol building, and the president coming out and squarely detecting and directing how the investigation should be conducted. And then the next thing I know, I'm seeing a police IG coming out without no pre-report out there, without no forensic or in data collection of the fire scene, and he coming out overriding the fire chief and saying this is an arson attack. I think it missed the opportunity for us to regain ourselves. They often talk about social media. While it is true that they are concerned about the negativity of the social media, I think they need to refocus their mind on how we are being perceived on social media as a country. Because whatever we do nowadays on social media is cross-continent observation now. So when you come out and say, oh, we have a fire and it's determined by arson, and there's no intelligence report that show in detail how the investigation came up with that conclusion, it make the country to look bad. It make the people to have different mindset. That is what bothering me. And how can we look in that direction is by emphasizing on how we identify issue. What has been the missed opportunity in terms of solving the problem? How do we structure things for us to be able to understand? The lack of structure in our country continues to show that we are just people who operate on written rules. Unwritten rules are things that people just do with no procedures. If you walk to the Ministry of Transport or you stop a driver on the street and ask him, how did you obtain your driver license? He's not going to tell you, say, when I went there, I was issued a directive to do X, Y, and Z. No. And those things that, you saw a police officer on the hood of a car today riding and putting his left by rigs. And I believe all because maybe the taxi driver refused to give him money. So by stretching over the hood of the car, blindsiding the driver will cause the driver to stop. We got to pass the civilized age, but we continue to do these things. So, Cynthia, what is on my mind is, what are we in totality across Facebook are going to be discussing this year? Those who have access to the people directly on the ground that have their radio stations where people listen to them. What message are they going to talk? Are they going to present? Because at the end of the day, I want to start measuring things after every 3 months. We have 4 quarters in a year. How do we measure things? When you implement program, you have calls coming into your show. You want to make sure that whatever you have pre-established as part of your program, when people call, you don't only listen to their comment. You try to engage them. If they raise an issue or you're raising the issue, you try to ask them, what will you do when you are in this situation? And depending on the answer you will get, it kind of measure your input, and the kind of answer they give you, it kind of provide an output for you. We don't have those things. And wasting my time on Facebook, we are having the key performance indicators says, are things that I'm very worried about. And like I said, there are many answers to all the issues we have in the country, but because of the time, I'll give it back to you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Brandy. Before I go to Peter, it's something that we're working on. I just were on the call yesterday. I think I talked to you. For me, it has been time. You know, all of us have separate schedule, but we will find a suitable time that we can do that. Yeah, because we have to get to. I know how far we come because we used to air in about 11 counties, especially up interior where people believe between the culture and the religion were really holding them. That when we first started, people were like, you don't question your leader, you don't say this is wrong. And then I started hearing their leader to say, this is our right, this is we're entitled. So I think we have made a lot of them. We may not see it, but we will get there. So we will plan this as 2025. We will make sure we're on the air, make the time. That means maybe all of us have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm already up at 5 anyway, so that's what it's going to be. Peter, you're really good at doing this, but I wanted to, and I will compare in my closing, but I wanted you, when you tied that, let's talk about you. What's on your mind, and then what message you want to leave? What's on your mind?
Well, again, thanks for the conversation. I think it's important. I need our people to understand something. When you see a person like myself speak, this is not about me personally. It is not about George Weah. It's not about Joseph Boyka. It's not about Cummins. It is about an idea and what we think we ought to live, how we ought to live. Everything is politics. Whenever you start talking about other people's family members and how they're going to live, what rules are going to govern them, is politics. Whenever you're convincing people and saying this is how we ought to do it, you're engaging in politics. This is how us as a nation is supposed to live. This is politics. I believe the politics that we really need to look at is the lack of accountability. My question to you is, what would you do? I keep asking this question. What would you do if there was nothing that would happen to you? If you can get away with anything, what would you do? That's pretty much what we have in Liberia now. Okay? There is no accountability. It is easy to just kick the can down the road. Well, if those people over there did it, then this will start. It's like people waiting for happiness. Happiness is now. Okay? You make yourself happy. You do what makes you happy. You don't wait for an event for happiness to start. We can't kick the can down the road and put the ball in someone else's court. What can we do? Here's what I do know. From just looking at how other people built their nations, I'm talking about really successful nations. I'm not talking about Ghana, okay, whose GDP is close to ours and people are still struggling. I'm talking about nations that left abject poverty and were able to be successful. There is a pattern that they follow. The same pattern Saudi Arabia is following now. I mentioned those people because, again, we're trying to reinvent the wheel. The answers to the test is already out. You don't need to go read a book. We already have the cliff notes. We have to follow it. We are not holding people accountable in government. So when Randy talks about what your government officials should do, what the government officials, what they're supposed to do, you elected them without them telling you what they were going to do. Without asking any critical questions about what, where, and how, and when. You didn't ask those questions. And now you expect them to do what? Government officials are not the ones supposed to go and give you money when something's happened, but government, our money, is supposed to be used to build those facilities. Did anyone tell you how they're going to build this facility? Where the income, the money was going to come from? Okay, what's the timeline building this facility? Did anyone tell you how they were going to create jobs? Go and show me the clip when Joseph Boyka told you how he was going to create jobs. Okay, our people talk about, he says, I'm going to do farming. When's the farming thing going to start? You never ask this man that question. So yeah, we are our worst enemies, but we, the people who are able to get away with saying the things we're saying, the onus is on us, Randy. on Yasendi. The onus is on us, right? The people in Liberia, there are a lot of people who can't speak. You know how I believe the people who can't speak? Because the Capitol building got burned down. So when people in powerful positions are willing and able to do terrorism against each other, what can it do to you who is a nobody? Us who cannot be touched have to speak. We have to get this conversation started. Okay, we have to do it. It's our responsibility. Like I said, the other revolutions around the country, this is my wheelhouse. I am telling you, it was started by people outside the countries. I'm talking about from Russia to China, all those countries that I named, from people outside the country because they know better. They have seen better. Okay, we need to do that. The tribal politics, the political parties needs to end. We need to call people out. We need to ask people, what makes you a UPN? What ideology separates UP from CDC? Explain that to me. How? There is no ideology that governs those people. Okay? Yet and still, everyone retreats. No, it's how they benefit from the spoils of exploiting other people. We need to shame those people. Okay? We need a passionate, impassionate nationalist. I'm going to say it again. We need an impassionate nationalist. What does that mean? Someone who really, really cares to see the country lifted. And they're passionate about it. Not a person who's not campaigning. And you know they're passionate about it because they're not afraid to answer questions. They want you to ask them questions. Con men don't like questions. We literally let these people get away with it. We literally ask them, oh, write someone on a paper. Let me see your agenda. We didn't ask them to articulate themselves. Anyone can go to ChatGPT and ask them a question and then post it on the website. And that's what we've been doing. You see all the AI videos that UP is coming up with? We're letting con men get away with murder here. And we know better. And we're not calling them out on it passionately. And our children and our country's future is being destroyed and it's on the line. Okay? All right? We do need civic education for our people because they don't know any better. Okay? When you teach them, they will know something. They will know better. Okay? The question just comes down to what drives you. What do you care about? If you're speaking on national issues, you need to be passionate about it because the people who benefit from the system now, they're going to come at your neck, Randy. They're going to insult you. They're going to say you're wrong for pointing out the fact that we don't have healthcare facilities. But we cannot step away from that. We should expect that. Guys, we need to understand this is going to be a fight. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be civil at times. This is a country that literally cut babies out of women's bellies during the war. The entrenched system needs to be dislodged. We need to stop having different exposition from different people. You had a person like Mr. Cummings, and I'm not married to the idea of this man being the leader of the country. But here's the difference. A person who's willing to come on to the general public, open himself up and say, ask me any questions, that person ought to be respected. When you pick someone because, oh, I was part of CDC, I was part of UP since this time, I was part of ND, you are part of the problem. You're not asking the right questions. And those people need to be called out. And we need to call out the conversation terrorists. That when you start calling them out about the way people are living and how it's affecting people's children, they block you. They run away from you. No, this is a civil war. This is a Cold War that is ongoing. Make no mistake about that. Okay? This is the lives of people who are being lost is because of the choices we're making. So what I'm asking tonight is that we have this real conversation. And we don't step away from the conversation and we do what we have to do. We do what those people did in Philadelphia many years ago in America. We are not leaving until we figure this out. Okay. And we need to be prepared to take on all comers. But as a nation, we need to have a real conversation and stop making excuses. Okay. We're either going to have a nation or we're not. And if we're not, we just need to stop talking. But those of us who feel and believe that we can do better, we need to prepare to do better.
That's your message, Peter, in your closing?
Yeah, that's pretty much my closing. I've said what I wanted to say to our people tonight.
Great message. Great message. I wanted to go over this really quickly. This is the Article 1 of our Constitution, which states, all power is inherent in the people. All free governments are instituted by their authority for their benefit, and they have the right to alter and reform the same when their safety and happiness so required. In order to ensure democratic government which responds to the wishes of the governed, the people shall have the right at such period, in such manner as provided for under this Constitution, to cause the public servant to leave office and to fill vacancy by regular elections and appointment. Now, it's interpreted here. This article established that all power in the government originate from the people. It emphasized the legitimacy of any government is derived from the consent of the governed. The purpose of the government exists to serve the people and promote their well-being, safety, happiness. Okay, this reflects a fundamental democratic principle that the public institution official act in the best interest of the citizen. So I wanted to just leave that with you. And if you go to the preamble, because everything we have, we copy it from America. I'm just trying to bring that here. If you go to the American preamble, it will tell you that to secure the right of the governed, and I'm going to leave that here and I'm going to post it on my Facebook and side by side so you can see that. But let me say to the both of you, Peter and Randy, and then to the Liberian people, we have work to do. Randy had a show, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, but he sent me something where he was warning people and telling them, if you wear so and so t-shirt, people are looking to hunt you down. And I woke up 2 days ago and saw a young man, and I can't say everything on this platform per se, so they were going to take it down. And this boy is standing up, rope is on his neck, and he's standing on both feet. Then I woke up this morning, I saw another young man, one rope in the hand, already gone. This morning again, that's a young man that they say he did that to himself. How do you, and he didn't go completely. Everywhere you turn, the fire, the places are on fire. People have been, and let me say this to the Liberian people. When you look away while somebody is being beaten, okay, and on a life, that life that you sat back and you didn't do anything, and you assume, because the story is this, they were either sitting back or they snatched somebody bag. Last December around this time, a lady by the name of Kebe was beaten, and everything happened to her. They thought she was unalive, and when they left her, and as she came through, somebody put her in a taxi and took her to the hospital. The trauma, she can't come back to Liberia. They grabbed the people, put them in jail for a few days, and they put them out. When I listened to this Coleman guy, some lady tried to ask me last night if I believe in the Liberian police. No, I don't. Let me say on my own platform. No, I don't. And there's a reason for which I don't. They work at the behest of the executive. They're not independent. That's why in other countries that want to do well, all our municipals are hired by the people and they answer directly to the people. And because we are tribalized, be it a political party or actual tribe, it's still tribal, the Peter said. So we are not patriotic, and that's what we're trying to say to you. Today, you might say it's a sedition. Yesterday it was a UPN. or it was a ANC. This is what we want to do away with. You just heard what our Article 1 say in the Constitution. So I heard the police chief say, we arrested 3 or 4 persons and they're in custody, but we can't put them to the site. But the children who were there and took pictures of them, they can tell you almost everyone that were there. That means they don't want to do it because they were already saying these boys are rogues. And let me say to you, Liberians, whenever one Liberian child or boy or girl life is on a life, it diminishes all of our lives and our worth. Because today is Peter, tomorrow is John, the next day is Paul, and it continues because of impunity. These people work for you. You hire them. As such, you must hold them accountable. When I hear you as Liberian people and say, let this person resign for the name of peace, that is not a true statement. You are lying. You are breaking down the nation. No nation, absolutely no nation, develop or persevere or progress without the rule of law. So to say, let this person resign so we can move on, what are you moving on to? You did the same thing. Oh, we don't want, we are. See where we are. And if you think I'm angry, I'm very angry. And I have every right to be angry because I work so hard and see so many children hungry, so many people, women dying, young people unaliving themselves. At least you guys are telling us no hospitals in a nation where the president gets paid more than the United States of America, where the lawmaker get paid more than my state with $40 billion in budget. When school education that's supposed to be training of the young minds, the next leaders, okay, when it looks like this, when all people beg just to eat for Christmas, when mothers have nowhere to go get subsidy, if they have it, they don't have it. So in so many words, this is my message to you. It's time to stand up. It's time to stop worshiping the people that you hire, that you elected. It's time to tell them you need to come tell us what you will do for us. For next week, we will talk about the budget where it projects, okay, what it says to you, where your budget is. That's what we're going to speak about. And the 2 gentlemen over here, and I'm sure we have one more person, will let us know what they're bringing to the table, what's on their mind, because we're all coming from different angles, different area of study, but we are patriots, and that's why we are here, and that's why we're on the same platform together. Gentlemen, we are 13 minutes past our time. You want to say if you got 1 minute, you got something else to say, I'm good. I'm just leaving with you. If we have something to say, and then we can log off.
No, yeah, thank you for the conversation. I hope we continue to have the conversation with our people. Again, one person can spark a revolution. It's happened time and time again. We need an electoral revolution in Liberia. We need to do something else. It can't just be about talking, but talking starts it. It starts with an idea. We got to express the idea. We got to galvanize people to literally get behind an idea. We have to decide as Liberians what type of country we want to live in. And we haven't done that yet. And we are putting out budgets and we're putting out what standard of living do we believe we should have. If we don't unite, if we do not unite and keep holding on to political parties, allegiance to political parties, to tribal allegiances, we are going nowhere. We're no different than any other country who has been conquered. Okay, and we keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. We better start asking real questions to these people who want to be in government and holding them accountable. We don't have any accountability. I'm gonna keep repeating that in Liberia. There is no reason why. The reason why the lawmakers are ignoring you because there is no accountability. Mm-hmm. It's time for us to have we need to have a referendum, and we need to put recall elections in in our constitution. We need to be able to recall people who are not doing the job, to hold them accountable. Without any accountability for these lawmakers, nothing is going to change. Nothing's going to change. So we need to come together, and we need to put our egos aside and work together for a better Liberia, if that's what we want. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Randy, any last word?
Yeah, see, I mean, to each is their own.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have tried all radical approach. We went to 1980, we went to the Civil War, we did all these things. I think it's about time to be more strategic rather than being more direct with the people. Because what stands between the people and us is inequality as it relates to economic benefit. That's what stands before us. You saw Mr. Cummings being over there. He had a good heart. He went over there. But the people are saying directly to him, we know you want to be president, but what can you do for us right now? That is one of the challenging things. And that's why I was really looking forward to Mr. Cummings coming out and giving us a post-election interview to look at what happened in 2017, first of what happened in 2023. With our understanding, you will get to know the mindset of the people. We can sit here and say what we want to say to the people. If the people and the lawmakers become enemy of each other, but economically, if they are able to meet the people's needs, let's go on election. We are our own family member. We're telling them, don't vote for this person. They're telling you, you don't live here. You don't know what I'm going through. And then in the end, when they get in economic problem, they call you. And then when you talking to them, hey, my man, I think I was that election bending, man. Ain't no it over. But you just wasted 6 years for somebody.
Yeah.
Our people are drowning in the ocean of poverty. And if we don't address that poverty issue, you can go to them and say, you see that road going to heaven? They will say, I'm not dead yet, so I'm not thinking about that road right now. I'm thinking about how I will live here. So understanding the needs of the people, sitting with them and understanding their needs. Because you know how you can draw the lawmakers? Some people have done that before. Go in a community and start doing good work. That lawmaker can rep and say, who that man over there? Because you are messing with a pepper bush. That means you are trying to take some economic benefit. That I see a political benefit. So you got to be very strategic. And the people stand between us and their poverty. When they look at us, the boundary between them and us is poverty. When they look at the lawmakers, the boundary between them and the lawmaker is poverty. But who is able to stretch their hand in there? The people often tell you, say, what do you have for us now? They're not saying, what can we plan together to make Liberia better? To tell the people who say, what do you have for us now? That is the mindset of the people. So I'm not saying we shouldn't take any approach, but we are trying all means to get to the people. And I think understanding the plight of the people, understanding the condition of the people, that is what will draw them to us little by little. That is my thought. I stand by it. And thanks so much, Jan, for the time. Appreciate you. And Coach, thank you too as well.
Both of you. I love either way. We will talk in the back and see where we go from here. Great show tonight, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for those of you who hang out with us tonight. We will be back next Thursday. We're going to be talking about the economy, some of the impact that it's having. Like Rennie just said, I have a different view because I've been on the ground many times. I've gone to villages. I've done and planted. So we can come on and see, because we're trying to see what's possible. Okay, so let me just say good night so I'm not here too late. Peter, I know I have snow day tomorrow. I know you don't have snow day. So I'm just going to post my classwork and I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. Good night. Good night, everyone. Good night. Oh, he came up. Good night, everyone. Here we go. I'm going to post this here. Here we are. This is your university. As I say good night to you. God bless. And the big old car is back here. Good night, Liberians. Good night. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will go ahead and call this a day.